Hi, this is Lorena, and I wanted to do a tutorial on my feathers. I have two ways of doing these feathers, and I wanted to do a small tutorial on each way. This is one of the feathers that I do, and I call it the repeating arc feather. And I also do a different type of feather, which is a longer, thinner feather, and I call that the repeating the stem feathers. So we're going to go into a tutorial on how I draw them on paper first, and then how I do them on my machine. I hope you like it.
I do feathers. Now I tend to do a lot of small, beautiful, intricate little feathers. And so initially, and I'm going to just do an arc. Initially, I do my feathers, and I want you to see the feather is like this. The fatter this is, and the thinner this is. So you want this thin and this fat. So in ladies' lives, there are times where you want stuff fat. Plumpier, fuller, voluptuous, whatever you may define it as. And quilting, it's to your benefit because this makes what we call it is called this inside here becomes negative space. Negative space. And so what it does is allows the fabric to plump up in the feather as the line is moving through the fabric. And so as I just do this here, I'm going to show you several techniques. One technique that is my go-to when I do small work. And so I go back down the stem and go back. Then I go back down the stem and go back. And I try to keep this area as narrow as I can. And try to fatten this area up. And usually I go back all the way down and I do a weird kind of design here so that I have another, so that my feather can snug up in this space. Like that. Go back down. And you don't have to go that. And then what I do is I echo.
So here I just want to show you what the feather looks like, just a picture of it, and then we're going to go into the video where I'm quilting it itself. And so you can see the process. Here I am going right back up that stem, and I'm going around, going back up that stem. And these feathers tend to make longer, more elegant, sleeker feathers. This style of making feathers. I also do this feather frequently when I'm doing very small, intricate work. And this feather fits lovely in very small spaces. And so here, after I'm done feathering, I'm going to go ahead and arc all the way around it. And then I'm going to have a video. It's going to kind of change up when I go, where I do a mixture of the two, where I do the repeating arc and the follow the stem. And so here I am, I'm starting. And I'm going to repeat right here, and then it goes back and repeats the very top like an arc. And then here I'm repeating and making another stem. And then here I follow the stem and I make a sleeker stem. Now you can use both techniques when you're making these feathers. I think what's happening with me is I'm learning how to do something different, so my mind doesn't know which one to do at the current moment when I'm doing it, because I quilt on the fly. And so here you see me now going back to making the feather by following the stem back down and then going back around. And so these are just two different techniques of how I do my feathers, and we're going to go into the video on the paper.
This technique works the best for me when I'm doing small, intricate work. But when I was doing big work, I was having a really hard time getting my mind to go bigger. And so I saw this technique on YouTube, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try to see if I can do those kind of feathers. And so I'm going to do the same design. And so their technique, so here's, that's horrible feather. So here's my feather, and then what their technique is they go back, and they kind of go back out, and then they arc here, and they go back. And they arc here, and then they go back to a half C curve, and they arc here. I noticed that these are prettier and fatter, and they're more consistent this way. And so now the beauty of this technique is you could go small and then you can go big. No one says that feathers are the same. And the truth is, variety. And so do you see how it just flows? And initially when I did the small ones, it kind of looked kind of weird. It didn't look like it was right. But when you literally arc it or echo around it, it just looks lovely. And when you have this quilted, all this variation, this negative space just pops up. And so that's how I do some of my feathers. In the video, I believe I just did a circle. And I just started doing, I did my feather, and then I went out. And I call this, and I don't honestly know what this feather is called, but I'm going to call it the double arc. Wait, oh. And that's one of the designs that I did on the long arm. And there we go. That's one of them.
So here I want to show you some pictures of what this repeating the arc feather looks like. They're a lot fatter and plumpier in the ends, and they're thinner in the center. And so here I am on my long arm quilting machine wanting to show you what that looks like. Here I am doing my second stem, and I'm repeating that arc right there, and then I'm going down. Now I'm still learning, so I'm making some mistakes, but the truth is no one's going to really notice them but me, and me telling you that I make mistakes on these quilts. The benefits of doing a custom quilt is you really learn the process of it. And since I'm doing it for free, the owner of this quilt top is just going to love it, especially when she sees all this beautiful eye candy of feathers dancing all over this quilt. And so here I am making this feather, and here I'm going back and I'm arcing right there, and then I'm not following the stem, and then I'm still learning, so I'm messing up because I have a bad habit of doing it the other way. And here I am making another arc and following. I'm still in the process of learning how to do these feathers. I'm just learning. I think I started doing these maybe 2 weeks ago on paper, and now honestly this is my first trial on the long arm and getting a feel of what it feels like. Like right there, I followed the stem, and now here I am going back on the arc. You can do both varieties. It just takes practice, especially when you want to do some thin feathers with some fat feathers. Now I'm running it down, and I'm going to show you pictures of what this looks like when this feather's done, and how it looks like and how it raises on the quilt. And I really do appreciate everybody who's subscribing and everybody who's watching my videos. And I honestly hope you really like this tutorial of feathers, following the stem, and repeating the arc. Have a wonderful day.